Hi YouTube, I hope you're doing well. I'm smiling because sometimes I get foreseeances of what's going to happen in a person's life and why it's going to happen to them. So I just have this thing about what I would call the aging narcissist. When they go into a situation thinking like all eyes are going to be on them because they're usually vibrant, good-looking people and can command a certain amount of attention out of a room. So when their looks are gone and that personality is lacking, they find it more difficult to they can't command respect with their personality, and what they fell back on is no longer working for them. That leaves them, there's two things they could do. They could fall back on the people that had been there for them all along, and do some growing within their own souls, or they can become very cold and bitter and vindictive. And so there's two different things, and it might even come in stages. Like they might get vindictive first, is some things that I've been through, and then come back around and try and make amends for their poor behavior because nobody else wants to be around them. So if you find that if you find yourself around people that aren't very likable, uh, you might be their last resort. I don't know how you feel about that, but I personally don't feel so well about it, so I just make the separation what it is. And other people are like that too. It's like, yeah, you are who you are, period. And good luck with all that. So, but I mean, and from what I've noticed, yeah, they can grow, but a lot of it's a facade of what they've learned, how other people act, how they should act in the world, and that helps them, I would say, get the supply. They get their daily supply from whoever because they still have to conform to society worse than they ever did have to because of their vanishing attributes. So, just a word that I saw ahead of time of something that's going to happen in a friend's life that I saw ahead of time for the reason to bring somebody back down to earth, to give them time to truly think about what is their purpose on this planet, and do they have one, and what are you good for? There's a song. What is it go? Oh, I swore. What is it good for? I was gonna say, what are you good for? Absolutely nothing. Let's hear it again, y'all. Anyway, or say it again, y'all. Yeah. But so that's my message on that, and that's, I don't know. I was kind of thinking that too. Right now, I mean, a good thing that my sons like to do to me is just go for, if they don't get their way around me, then the hell with me. They'll ghost me. It's like I'm either one way or another. I'm either good to them or I'm bad to them. I'm good to them if they can get what they want out of me, and I'm bad to them if they can't. And those are the type of personalities that I don't want to have around me. It's like, no, no, even on my worst days, I'm better than that. I don't do that to people. So, I mean, and like I say, without any alcohol abuse and hard drugs around me and stuff, I can deal with things, but I would just have to be assured that other people I'm around have that much respect for me. If they don't, I don't need it. I don't want it. You know, I'd rather be alone and lonely than to be around somebody that drains my spirit like that, even if it is my kids, you know. And that, you know, some people might think, well, you know, you can repair relationships. It's not broke, you know, like the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Well, and then there's another part to that, if it's broke, throw it away. Well, this isn't broken. This is decisions that adult men are making in their lives because they're players, they're users, and that's the way it is, you know. And for whatever their reasons, um, whatever reasons they adopted to display that in life, we all could do that, but we don't, you know. So that any poor behavior from people, it's just what it is. And that in turn can bring behaviors out on in you that you don't typically display. It's kind of like catchy. If somebody's in a bad mood, and you can keep trying all day to lift their spirits, and they just don't see or care that you're actually trying that hard to do just that. What a waste of time, you know? I'm sick of doing that crap. So, just a minute here. Fixing a relationship, first, like I say, it would have to be broken, and second, the other party in that relationship would have to work towards a deeper meaning in that situation. And especially, like, out of my kids, if I'm treated just like any old buddy out on this planet, then they need to go and be around any old buddies because I'm not like that, you know. So, and I'm undeserving of it. If I were deserving of it, I'd be like, hey, I'm not worth that respect, and I would know it inside myself. But every person knows who they are inside, and the people that are close to them, they also know that. And there's people in this world that will play upon that and your good heart and good intentions, even with their words and mannerisms and all of that. They will take advantage of that, and they do, and they have. So I have to go on not only past experiences with people, but what are they doing today? What is somebody doing today to make their life a little better than yesterday for themselves? I have to see some kind of will to actually live a healthier life out of people before I open my door. My heart's open, but before I open my door and my security and stability to somebody that is acting like a stranger, that's a whole different scenario. So it isn't so much as repairing a relationship, because when my sons are sober, we have a closer relationship. They know it and I know it. There is no barrier besides the substance abuse as far as communicating, you know. We never had that problem, you know, my sons and I, you know. It was when they started doing shady things that they didn't want me to know about. or didn't want other people to make connections and, like, gee, they've done that before here or whatever, you know, then that's a pattern that people do towards other people, and it's apparent, but not the parent, you know. So anyway, and this I'm just gonna say it. This doesn't go for um I would say the two psychiatrists that I would listen to for their opinion. Um, but one is under the assumption, okay, let's put it this way. Not everybody studying mental health is, yes, we'll examine ourselves when we're going through that, but not everybody asking questions is asking for themselves. It's kind of like, I already know this, but I'm asking for a friend, you know? So, and there too, I will analyze right back, total psychoanalysis on anybody that thinks they're analyzing me. Because I roll with God, and if you see something different there, I'm going to analyze you just on that alone. And it will be like, why? Because they're not feeling what's in their heart at that moment. They're just talking either from a ego standpoint or experiences that they have been through that could be similar but not exact. So a person couldn't go on that, is what I'm getting at right there. So yeah, watch out. I'm analyzing you right back. And I'm going to go on the Jordan Peterson again thing just to remind people, if you are listening to anybody that says they are a psychiatrist, this would indicate that somebody is stable. Okay, if it doesn't matter to you that somebody is stable in the eyes of God and the laws that God puts before us to be that example. So once again, if somebody would take stock that a person in a position to reach a lot of people would instruct you that porn is a happy, playful thing, can be, he said. Yeah, sure, buddy. In a marriage, once again, that's insane. That is totally insane. Now, I could see that out of a single man, but I know men with more dignity than that are single that would never, ever say that to you because they would know it would cause a downfall in your character that they would not want to be responsible for. I mean, God carries us. God carries you. You do something silly, stupid. He knows your heart. He knows your desires. Your relationship with Him, you're covered like that. You're not putting it on other people. And a man with dignity will not. The same with the woman. We will not. I would never instruct the youth or one of my peers or a sister at heart on this planet to view somebody else and then go be with your husband. That's ludicrous. I'm not getting over this. This is just, the world's too wacky for me. I can barely stand it. Just flipping barely, people. Just, oh, really? Uh, yeah. I wonder how many people do anti-anxiety drugs just to go to work or go shopping or whatever, or maybe they gotta like throw back a couple beers before they even go shopping or mingle with people. you know. I wonder how many psychiatrists are alcoholics, 'cause I know some of them. Something's wrong up in there, bucko. Yep, buckwheat, you need some help. Yeah, well, I've been asking the spirit of God to help you, so. And that's for the one that I'm dissing on lately. Yeah, that's a fact. There's something wrong there. Big time wrong, drastically. So anyway. I was up pretty early, after getting my schedule all throwed off a bunch of times. I mean, but I just love being up when the sun's coming up, and I was able to do that. So, yeah, got a lot of things done earlier, a little sweeping, a little mopping. I don't know what got into me yesterday, but I had some cabbage coleslaw that I had made, the creamy kind, the day before. And I kept thinking fried chicken and coleslaw, and I had a few French fries that I had frozen. So I made deep fried chicken and then just warmed it up later with a few French fries and some coleslaw. That was super good. We still have some left. I don't know what I want later. Actually, all I want is sunflower seeds. That's what's on my mind today. But yesterday it was coleslaw and chicken. Oh, it was so good. So, yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna, I don't know. I was thinking with my leftover chicken of making a chicken salad, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'll do, but just to tell you, after I made my video yesterday, I got up and started making fried chicken, and because I had grease from making mushrooms before, so I strained that, filtered it, and um put some fresh stuff in there and just started frying chicken. Well, cut it up, and Doug loved it because he likes like the dark meat. I cut the legs like you can cut into the body of the chicken bigger and make like a giant chicken wing or leg. I made them all a little bigger than usual. And the breast pieces, I cut them in half, so each piece was like about that big around basically by the time I got done, so they'd all fry about the same time. And yeah, it turned out pretty good. I like other people's cooking when it comes to all that work, but it was good. Like today, it will be better if I do have it because I didn't have to cook it today. I get kind of sick even just. I don't usually fry things, um, so it's sort of a luxury. And like on my birthday, usually I will have to go get fried chicken or a few times a year, but I prefer roasted chicken. I should get, I guess, them air fryers are pretty cool. I might try something like that. I don't know. Have these silicone bakeware set that you can even bake donuts. I might do that. My granddaughter, I got them a set and she made some. They were just beautiful. They looked good. And they're healthier because they're not made with fat. The only fat or sugar is what you would put in the dough. So if you put like sprinkles or whatever on top, it's still not going to be as unhealthy as something that is dunked in fat. So that's why Fried chicken is good with coleslaw because at least you're getting like cabbage and carrots in you at the same time, you know. And then let's see, I didn't have any sugar last night, just real food. so, so yeah, today's been pretty nice so far. It was kind of cold for a while and it was supposed to start warming up. I think it is going to today. In fact, it seems like it's warmer now than it was about noon. So I don't know. But it got cold last night. It got in the 50s. So, yeah. Anyway, what's on my mind is I'm hoping my kid has enough respect to keep in touch with me because both of them actually, if they can talk like men, I can talk like a mom. But if they act like animals, I have to act like the zookeeper, and I don't like that. I really don't. It's like, nah, it's too much. And it really was different, like, even in my 50s, you know, it was a lot different than now. It's like, I don't want to be around any. Some people just like trauma and drama, you know, and it's almost like something they manufacture stuff just to have some kind of turmoil, like the excitement of arguments or whatever. If I have an argument, it isn't exciting. It makes me sad. It makes me angry, but it does make me want to cry at the core of myself. And it usually doesn't last very long, usually. But if I'm like extremely radically abused, it might take me a few days to get over that stuff. I might not ever get over it. Now I'm so sick of that type of stuff. It's like, I just wish these people well, but like from way over there, you know. But still, I'd like to be respected enough not to be ghosted. But what it is, too, it's not like a sober mind is ghosting me. This is somebody, if they're not using their money for good, they're using it to poison themselves, and their brains are not thinking like they would without all that. And it's a lot different. So that's out of my hands. All I can do is pray about it, you know. But I'm just hoping that my sons that have children will worry more about their children, maybe even write them a letter, worry more about your kids than you do yourself just one day. How about an hour out of your day to write a letter and it might take you 2 weeks to mail it? Wow. If that's a difficult chore in a lifetime, I don't know, but you know, I don't know. I just never got how people can just up and leave their kids, you know, it's like, I don't like you anymore, and even go as far as to tell kids that they don't like them or they're ugly or what their faults are. It's like, well, you're really going too far. That's almost like, should deserve maybe not the death penalty, but prison time for sure. That's criminal. You know, people that do that type of stuff to their children. I've seen it and heard it. It's like, it's really disturbing to me. It is. I better not hear that shit anywhere. God help me. Wow. You know, if I hear like one demeaning word, towards a kid, I might flip on you, you know? Yeah, I'm not big on that type of stuff. So, anyway, I had took, so I took, like the neck bone from the chicken and the giblets and, um, the backbone and all that, and I boiled it up. So after I was through making my breaded chicken, I took the flour I had and I had used some milk and I took all that and I mixed it in and I made chicken gravy. I threw some instant potato flakes in there so the kitties outside, even the indoor kitties had some, but they all had what was like potatoes and chicken gravy, and so they were they were happy. They all loved it. In fact, they just hung around the dish and kept eating until they could barely eat anymore. And then they came back and had more. Today, when I put their kitty food out, some of that was still left, and they were just hanging around looking for more chicken and potatoes. It's like, not today, guys. I did my work yesterday, It's a big job cleaning up and all that, too. It's like, nah, spoil little things. But I could make a soup for myself out of that, but I'm not that destitute, and they they deserve a treat every once in a while, and it is special. They really enjoyed it, just loved the heck out of it. So it was cool just watching them just eat something as much as they wanted and get their fill. And I'm sure well, we know that mashed potatoes and gravy and bread and chicken, all them flavors together are good. So at least I think so. They sure did. Yeah, they had fun. It was funny even watching the littlest one, um, Doug calls George, and the one I call Yeti, grandpa and grandson. They eat by themselves because the other ones will smack them, and they're so sweet. Well, George isn't that sweet, but Yeti, the grandpa, he's the sweetest one out there. Just lets everybody eat, and when they're done, he'll go eat, and which is really cool for a tomcat. So, and he is. He's a really good boy. I've got a flea collar on him. The rest are pretty wild. Well, George could probably have them, but I put some uh, spray for fleas and ticks and other bugs for animals on him. So the ones I can get close to, I take better care of, but the ones that are really wild, yeah, that's different. But just to get some on a couple of them and they all mingle, it keeps it. There's no bugs on any of them, and it's easy to see whether they are or not because they're mostly, except for the one mom, um, older one, Puma. She's pure black, but most of them are just white for the most part, maybe a dot on their head. And then another one that was black and white from a couple years ago, but the ones out there now, it's like a sea of white. Yeah, they're fun to watch. So, so yeah, just beware the crabby aging narcissist. that can't get that narcissistic supply anymore and will want to take it out on you. Don't let them do it. They're either going to be grateful that you're still in their lives or not. And that is exactly how you have to deal with the situation and make them fully aware of what they've done and who they've become and why they are feeling like they are feeling, because that isn't who they are meant to be on the inside. And until God takes that spot in their heart and their ego's still there, unless God can fill that spot, that ego thing is going to get really, it's not going to be very pretty in the end of the whole thing, and that's it's not nice to watch. You know, I've seen older narcissists resort to, personally in my life, um, having less clothes on, that what is normal in society, just to draw that attention to them. And yeah, younger bodies usually look nicer or whatever, but it depends on the setting. Are you on the beach, or are you like in public somehow being weird, and they will resort to these really weird things that normal people won't say and do. It's like, yeah, they still do their grody shit, is what I call it. But that's a big clue of if they change or not, and if it's possible for them to heal. Now, if they heal, they're going to heal themselves out of their own will from being sick of feeling sick. And that really does have to come from within. And I do believe it's possible. I also believe in prayer. I also believe that a lot of narcissist behavior is adapted by the children of narcissists, and they don't see what's happening to them. Like, they fall into the crabbies before they can catch themselves out of it. And it isn't even who they are on the inside, but it's something they've adapted for themselves. If you could be dealing with a person like that, and then I would say, yeah, that's like learnt narcissism behavior. And I'm not what they would call a self-styled psychologist or counselor, but I am a counselor, and I have studied psychiatry, and spirituality is the biggest study of psychology on the planet. And being an expert in a lot of those areas, and I can speak from my own life when I was young, seeing myself falling into narcissistic habits, like the 3 people I was around in close proximity. When I got away from those types of personalities, I was able to find out what my personality was, and it wasn't like that. It's like, my personality is like, good morning, sunshine, and then you're met with, you know, a big difference in personality. So once I realized that, hey, this isn't even, that's not even uh, close to anything I'm like. So yeah, people are different, and it matters too. What do we want to accept in our life? What do we want around us? Who do we want around us? What's acceptable? Not just personally, too, but the people you're around. What's acceptable in society? I mean, even I don't have to worry about my neighbors, what they think about me, because I'm sure the only ones with ill thoughts towards me have illnesses. And that isn't very many. Not many. Or drug or alcohol problems, and then yeah, they may have issues like that with me, but typically not. But I mean, who I choose to actually get personally close with, yeah, it determines on how they act, what they talk about, even how they're thinking, you know. I heard Professor Sam Bogdan, Dr. Bogdan, talking about, oh, how did he put that? Let me think what my point was. Just a minute, I'll wait this. Basically, if people think they're God, how could they heal themselves if they think that they're God? They would have no faults, and anything that they are doing would fall in line with the divine plan according to them. Oh, that's what I was talking about as far as being a self-styled psychiatrist. Um, Experiences teach people a lot, good or bad, you know, and you could probably study somebody that you know in your life, or even if you're imitating somebody on a show you watch or something, you can study that character of that person enough to emulate them, you know. And I don't think that a narcissist has the range of a personality to be able to even cover anybody else's personality, like to really emulate somebody that they can't get in touch with that because it's so far from their persona. It's not in their portfolio of acting. They can't touch on. It's like, how can you do a crying scene, just saying like that, for instance, of sorrow, and get in touch with deep sorrow in that scene if you've never experienced that, or joy, like if you had to laugh and laugh but you've never known joy, how could you get in touch with that as an actor or actress and display that to its fullest? You know, just things like real human feelings, you know. And that is why you could never ever have a movie about making love, because I don't think people actually know what that means. I really don't. You know, and you can't make love to yourself. It has to be a two-way street. So, you know, I mean, being desired, you can go pay for that. I mean, whatever, you know. But actual love making, I wonder if it's ever happened on this planet to its fullest. I don't think so. You could disagree with me, but I'm just giving you my outlook on relationships and what I've seen displayed out of people and what I can sense, whether they're lying about it or not. I don't care because I can tell what's in their hearts and minds. And people can't lie to people. Here's a big misnomer about lying. We know when people are lying. I mean, we have that funny feeling. It's instincts, it's instincts. You just know when you hear the truth. It will touch your heart. Now you can quickly dismiss it. If you hear it 4 or 5 times through your life, though, God's probably trying to tell you something. So if, like, I say something and then you're listening to somebody else and they say the same exact thing, chances are that you're being spoken to, you know? And I'm not the only one feeling like that. Perhaps that's part of it too, but I know I have a godly heart. So if somebody else is speaking similarities, that's the Spirit of God. But people that think they're God, how could you ever heal your heart? I mean, usually these people that think they're God-like, usually are um, miserable and fill that empty spot up with fakeness that appears to be happy, but it's not true joy. I don't know, I can't describe it any different than that because that's the reality of it, you know. This comes from being in my own little world in pure hell and still keeping my happiness about me like everybody else. They're sitting around in their low vibe, and here I come bouncing through the room or walking on my toes, or, you know. And this is no exaggeration. This has been my personality my whole life with this lower vibration that has been surrounding me. It's not something I call upon myself. It's the witchcraft in the world that I have been attacked by. And it's real, damn it, you know? So they're always trying to take my happy from me. I don't let it happen anymore, and then people start going there and it's like, shh, I'm gonna here's a big one too. When you're a people pleaser and you're used to being their audience for anything they want to lay on you, and you listen, you're understanding whatever. And I'm a busy person and I'll just say, look, now it's no means no, or no, I'm going to go sit down. Like you're busting your butt and you need to rest, but they want to stop you right there. Your back could even be hurting, and the force of evil knows this. This is a communication device within them that they apply towards you for their own benefit, and they feed off that. Now I'm like, nope, time to sit down. Keep talking or follow me. I don't care. But, it's just my attitude now is more no with people than it ever has been in my life. And like I say, it's time, you know, high time for me to think of myself. Yeah, it's important, you know, and everybody else, but still. And that isn't even secondary, sadly, you know. But sometimes I have to force it to be because Sometimes it does have to be all about you or all about me, whatever the case calls for. And nowadays in this world, with my hopefully common sense as a mom and a loving individual, hopefully it's common or will become more common that I can't back down just for the sensibility of the whole thing that I see lacking out in this world, that I don't hear a lot of voices out of women. Boy, ladies, what, come on. I can't be the only one talking about all these things, Am I? Is this world that void of strength, or what a bunch of cowards. God help David slay Goliath. Don't you believe that? Now, here's something cool. I watched a father teaching his daughter jujitsu. I shared a video in my community, and the way this little girl, even though she was smaller, used her legs and her whole body from what her father had taught her, takedowns on big people, and how to even hang on through a bunch of messes. Although, of course, she's young, and I could say, geez, you would have got hurt there bad, few times. But just the application of the technique she was using and the love that father was passing on to his daughter to keep her protected in those areas is like, it was really cool. She was so cool. Little monster kept hanging on with her legs when you think you're going to shake them off, but they don't go anywhere. It can be dangerous, you know. Be like picking up a badger or a rabid cat, Even a little cat. God dang it, when that cat I brought in the house with her mangled leg and everything, she had babies at that time. And I went to pick one of the little ones up. I called Puck, like hockey puck. Um, but at first, well, I was calling it White Fang, but I picked it up with my glove on, and it bit through my glove. And I have never not been bit by a cat, but, playing with a cat, maybe getting it razzed when I was younger or whatever. But this little wild monster, I couldn't believe, for as tiny as it was, how it really almost messed me up. And um, Doug had went to grab one, maybe last year or something, at one point, and he got the same reaction, and he was surprised, that little package of dynamite, about like that. Oh, whoa. But yeah, when you're living out in the wild and things are chasing you all day long, you're not, it's kind of like my attitude with all that. You might get bit. Just, you know. Yeah, anyway. I think we should have an army of grandma martial artists on this planet. But most of y'all would be starting too late. I could teach you a little bit, but it probably wouldn't serve you very well. You might as well just hand them your purse and run if you can. Yeah. I'll hand them my purse, all right. Yeah, sure will. And it depends. Depends on the situation. I've been in some situations. I'm not just sitting here. What could happen next? You never know. You really never know. Like the Boy Scouts, be prepared. My motto is don't ever believe you're actually safe. Well, you live in the flesh and Satan's controlling the shit. How could you possibly ever be safe entirely? And he controls everybody else. If they don't take control of themselves, you're around dangerous shit all day long just because of that. No, you are never safe. You have to be um, diligent on your observation skills. Don't trust people. Not like that. You just can't. You have to weigh their souls as they're coming towards you. You'd be foolish not to. Yeah. And we're all capable of that. And that's where I was going, where I couldn't get back. I just got back there. That's the liars that pretend you don't know they're lying. We all know when somebody's lying. It's just a funny little, it could be a preacher preaching and then they say something that they don't abide by, and you can just feel it. And there's things, and that's why most people will stay away from touchy subjects like that, because they don't want to expose themselves. Well, of course, we can tell who you are by what you don't talk about, you know? But then on the other hand, there's people that will tell you everything, and that's okay too, depending on who they are. That can be really appreciated in a world that people try to hide, you know. Like if you know somebody really well, you can tell something's bothering them. You can probably even tell what that is that's bothering them. you know, it's our insight. So that's really pretty much what I had on my mind today, was the two subjects that I do believe, like with one psychiatrist, not the um, dramatic bloodline one. Well, I think they both could be, but not the one that lives across the sea. The American one is psychoanalyzing me. Not a Canadian, but the United States one is psychoanalyzing me on the basis of what he's lived through, and not quite making the connection of um, what a mom is versus what a dad is, perhaps, is one way to say it. Or, yeah, that's probably pretty much it. The one in Canada, he can just take a big flying leap through a rolling donut. And the one over in Germany, I think, or of that heritage, Russian or German, not quite sure yet. I think German. But anyway, have respect. So I just don't think that he's going to lead somebody down a path that would make your life more difficult, you know, and that makes a big difference. And the one in the United States is a really good psychiatrist with a missing piece because he's not me. So he wouldn't know that, he wouldn't know my integrity because he may not have, as a young person, had that himself, not in that magnitude. And so it would be hard to come from my point of view with a point of view you don't have. Um, but may have soon. You'll get it. I know you will. I know you are, but what am I? No, I just thought I'd be a little narcissistic there. That is how they are too. It's like you could say, gee, something like, gee, couldn't you do this or that or whatever? And be like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. I was just going to go into what they call word salad. You know what I'm saying. The run around the circle conversation that goes nowhere. You know, I am just so tired of the whole thing. You know, I like people that can carry on a whole conversation and actually move forward somewhere with some kind of conclusion and an actual, like a legitimate conversation, like problem solving conversations, you know, when two spirits connect and say, hey, we're on that same path, we're on that same goal, you can actually work towards something constructive instead of destructive, you know. Destruction of the ego with other people, when the ego's in play, it's always going to cause more harm than it is good, you know. There's a certain amount of people that might gather something out of even a psychiatrist. If he's got a point wrong for me, it could be good for somebody else. So I'm not going to say nothing. I'm not putting that down. It's just that I do possess a skill that I haven't seen in the mental health field with the spirituality connection that I do have, and I've always had, that other people don't have that strong. But so it's not a put down, you know, it's just something being left to my own devices, not thinking I was God, but knowing that there was a God. Um, that's a big difference. It is. Especially when you're at the end stage of your life and you really need to examine yourself. If you haven't, um, it's important because otherwise you really shouldn't be talking to do more harm. I'm not directing this towards anybody I'm listening to. That statement there was directed for Jordan Peterson because I lost respect for the dude when he's annihilating a family, and especially women, because a man's supposed to lead a woman. And I don't care whose man you are, if you're out there opening your mouth to the world, you're taking on that position of leadership as the stronger gender, and you should be stronger in all ways that matter. Perhaps maybe not the tenderness of your heart that women should possess, but, and my cat's digging on something. Get out of there, Nellie. Ugh, I put a plant in my room in this planter and she's walking around it just to drive me nuts. But anyway, if I see a man pretending to take a leadership role and he's actually not doing that the right way, you know, I get angry enough to want to make it escalate. And that's really my nature. And I don't want that part of me to change because there aren't many men that are in that position to take that upon themselves. And there's too many women alone left to the destructive nature and the ego of the men that should be leading them right. So that leaves me in the position where, no, I'm just going to keep on being my strong self, with my mind and my heart and my body. And I'm not going to back down for these people that are acting monstrous and destroying other people's souls. And I'm not going to sit by and say it's okay and not say anything about it. In fact, I still am not done, and I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I need to take a bigger step because it seems like I'm not being taken serious enough. And I don't like that feeling, and I don't deserve it. And so I'm gonna step something up. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I feel like I'm gonna do something way different, and it's gonna make a difference. Because somebody really has to. This world is really totally screwed up. And people could say, well, it's not the world we knew when we were growing up. It is. There's just more of the nonsense than there was before because there's more people. But I don't believe anybody's actually really changed or too much. Like, there's not any more weirdos than there ever was, you know, per capita on a scale. Like, if it used to be 90% of the people, it still is, whatever that amount. I think you got my point there. But anyway, today I was just basically relaying 4 seance that I had that I have lived through with several of these type of people in my life when things don't go their way and they try and lay that on you and you nip it in the bud, and that's where they can either grow or you'll have to like plow them under like compost their butts, because you can't go treating somebody that's a half a century old, or living like already like half their life is gone, and pacify them like they're a giant 2-year-old. You don't do that to yourself or them. You're not benefiting them at all. And if you make them face the cold hard facts, they're not going to like you for it. And in fact, if God told them ahead of time, they're still not going to like you for it. But they've been warned, you know. And all these steps of their growth, this is their warnings every day. So it's the biggest warning they can get, to know who actually cares about them and who doesn't, you know. And that's the best way you can show somebody that you love, that you do care, is by total honesty, no matter what it takes. You know, walking on eggshells around somebody is not going to benefit them. If you have to be careful of somebody's amped up emotions that they choose not to control, that's decisions that they're making to act like a toddler. If you can ask your toddler to go sit down, be quiet, we're going to talk about this later, and I have some things to do, and I will get back to you, and you're going to have some peaceful moments here. We both are, and then we're going to talk about this in a little while when we calm down here. If you can talk to a toddler and they can calm down and tell them you love them and adios for a while, kid, you know, in your own home, you see, and then get back together with that small child and say, "Okay, look, do you understand what went on here?" And you just don't fly off the handle. There's no communication there. And if we're gonna accomplish this later, we need to work together now. If you can talk to a child and make them understand that, and you can't work with an adult like this is a self-centered person using whatever means they have to try and control you, and that's an absolute no-no. It's not allowed, you know? So, or the please, please, and try and butter you up that, they're so cute. It's like, yes, you have beautiful eyes. I love your smile. You're an asshole. Stay away from me. you know, Come back when you realize I like your eyes and your smile without your phony shit behind it. That type of attitude with them. And believe me, the truth hurts, but it works. And being any other way with these people isn't going to benefit them. And I found that out firsthand. Some absolutely hate my guts, and the others aren't willing to lose me in their lives for their egos. So that's where you know who your true friends are too, who's worth your time to even have a conversation with them. So all right, everybody, I'm gonna let you go. I love you. I'm just talking about things we foresee in the future and how to help people that are struggling with all different kinds of things, but the biggest thing is their ego. They're actually beating themselves up and lowering themselves in areas that we hope that they can see that. Pull themselves through this stuff. That goes for professionals that are just whacked. You can pull your head out of this sand pit you have it in and do better for the whole world. You don't have to stay stuck on stupid just for the money. God'll help you. Don't you trust that? You're going to be okay. Every day you're okay. Why wouldn't you trust that? Yeah, okay. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good night or day wherever you're at.